Hello everyone and bonjour. Today I'm gonna talk about the Acolyte leveling. So this is part of the series of video I'm making right now for Season 2, where I show you guys what I believe is the best leveling build for all skill level for each class. Because right now, we cannot respec our mastery, but moving forward with Season 2, we are gonna be able to respec our mastery. It's not gonna cost a lot of gold. We already saw the prices on the patch note. So at level 70, for example, we need 100k gold. And to give you an idea, if you don't spend your gold, you're probably going to be at 300k, 400k gold at level 70. So this is pretty fair. Basically, it's like always a third of the gold that you acquired up until that point to respec. If you didn't spend your gold, to give you an idea. This is a build that is going to use the Warlock Mastery, and we're going to use Chthonic Fissure and Chaos Bolt. And this is going to make our build pretty automated. Basically, Chthonic Fissure is going to proc Chaos Bolt, which is going to proc Bone Curse and also proc Rib Blood. There is also an even more crazy setup, but you need Dexterity on your gear, which is not easy to acquire on Acolyte. So I don't really recommend it, but you can even proc with Chaos Bolt Harvest, that is in turn gonna proc Spirit Plague. So just from one Chthonic Fissure, you could proc a lot of stuff, but right now we're not gonna go with the Harvest setup. But you could go if you wanted to. Other honorable mentions for leveling, we have in Necromancer a lot of minions that deal a lot of damage. The only problem with minions are gonna be your survivability, because your minions are going to be able to leech just fine their damage, they're going to survive, but you can't really survive, because you cannot leech the damage of your minions. The only way you can survive is with health regen that they've buffed this patch, by the way. But even then, I wouldn't really recommend those options. The only good option that one of my friends called Zekar, which is known in the community for his minion playstyle and love for minions in general, he told me about this node right here in Skeletal Mage, and I tried it a bit, and it's really, really good. Basically, you are going to summon skeletons, and your Skeletal Mages are going to explode your skeleton, meaning they're going to die, and you can profit from all the nodes and all the passives that gives us buffs, ward, stuff, basically, when your minion dies. So we can generate a lot of ward with this build, and it's pretty good AoE, because the explosion... the AoE is pretty big. And at level 50, we're going to go with Abomination. Abomination, strongest ability in the game. When you unlock it, you'll be able to one-shot any timeline boss. Jura in the Temporal Sanctum is not going to last more than a few seconds. And yeah, super powerful if you don't mind Abomination. Otherwise, you can still go with Skeletal Mages. And yeah, you're going to be fine. You want to play with Dread Shade and Infernal Shade to buff your Skeletal Mage. You want to make it as a single mage, and you want to cast the skeleton. Other option is Leech, basically like a different flavor of Spellcaster. The reason why I'm not going for a Leech is the clear is worse than Warlock, the defense is worse than Warlock, and the playstyle is kind of weird. Basically, you have Reperform, which is an extra health bar, and you have Death Seal. And the way you play it is you lock your health at, I believe it's 33%. Yeah. So it's kind of weird playing with Death Seal and Reperform. Not for everyone, especially new players. They can get confused some of the time. So I think Warlock is the play in general. Okay, let's talk about skills and gameplay. So we are going to transition into two different setups during the leveling process, because we want to use Chthonic Fissure and Chaos Bolt, but Chaos Bolt, you're going to unlock it at around level 20. So before level 20, we are going to use a different setup. So first, we're going to use Rib Blood and Summon Skeleton at the early level. So you summon your 3 skeletons. I recommend having 2 Archer and 1 melee minion, so they survive a bit longer. And Rib Blood at level 4, we're going to spec into it, and we want to put 4 points into Arcane Absorption. This is a buff that is insane, especially early on. It gives us flat spell damage that can stack. And you get 8 flat spell damage per stack for 6 seconds. You can easily stack 5 or 6 times, and maybe even more if you have cast speed. This is like baseline 40 to 48 flat spell damage for any of your spells, because this is a global buff to any of your skill, not only Ribblood, but also you're gonna see for the other other skills, sorry, because we're gonna unlock right after that Wandering Spirits around level 8, and Wandering Spirit is gonna be our clear. He's gonna basically kill everything on our pass. I'm just gonna wait for the cooldown. There you go. You press on it, and it's gonna release spirits around you. So as you move, it's gonna clear stuff around you. And as I said, they get buffed by your Ribblood buff, so a lot of damage. After some point, we're gonna replace our Summon Skeleton with Bone Golem. Bone Golem is way more tanky, and it takes the aggro for you. It also deals a bit of damage, so it can lower the health of some mobs. But yeah. You want to use Wandering Spirits to clear and Ribblood for a single target, and while waiting, for Wandering Spirits. Then we are gonna have Bone Curse at some point. Bone Curse, you want to put it on rares and on mini bosses and bosses. This procs an extra hit whenever the target gets hit. So whenever you use Ribblood or your Bone Golem hit the enemy, this damage is also buffed by Ribblood buff, by the way. And finally, we're gonna have Transplant. So Transplant, your main movement skill. You're gonna use it all throughout the campaign and in the end game. It's not gonna change. And finally, before switching to Chthonic Fissure setup, we are going to unlock Spirit Plague. So there is a choice that I give you. So either you continue with your Bone Golem up until you switch to Chaos Bolt and Chthonic Fissure setup, or you can already use Spirit Plague. The advantage is that you're going to deal higher single target, but you need to refresh the curse every 3 seconds, because it only lasts 3 seconds, sorry. And you can see the icon on the buff under the health bar of the monster. This is this one on the right. So you have to cast it pretty often. You also have to cast your Bone Curse, remember, every 8 seconds. Same, it has an icon under the health bar. So if you don't want to bother with that and have some big chungus Bone Golem tank for you, you can still use the Bone Golem. Okay, next, after level 20, we are going to use Chthonic Fissure, Chaos Bolt, and Spirit Plague. So the playstyle is pretty simple. This is up until level 50, by the way. So no matter what, we want to have a Chthonic Fissure up when we clear or when we single target. And the Chthonic Fissure is going to proc Torments. That gets converted to Chaos Bolt for some of them. And the Chaos Bolt is going to proc some stuff in return. It can proc, if we look into the tree, it can proc Ribblood, it can proc Bone Curse, and you can also make it proc Harvest if you have Dexterity. But I'm not doing it because we don't have free Dexterity on the passive tree. You have to drop the gear for that. And we can also spam ourselves Chaos Bolt, so like I'm doing right now. And if you look at the mana, my mana pool is kind of doing a yo-yo, and the reason why is because Chthonic Fissure, as you can see, costs a lot of mana. But we recover our mana with Chaos Bolt thanks to this node. So every hit against cursed enemy gives us 2 mana, and Chaos Bolt is an ability that releases multiple projectiles. Like you see, we have 3 or... Is it 3 or 4? I believe it's 4 projectiles. Yeah, 4 projectiles. So 7 mana cost, and you can get up to 8 mana, so you can actually gain mana with Chaos Bolt. And Chthonic Fissure also procs the Chaos Bolt, so this is pretty good. We also have in the passive tree, by the way, this node that gives us mana every 3 seconds, 13 mana. So this is how we recover our mana over time. But super important, Spirit Plague. Spirit Plague is insane for ward generation. Let me show you my ward. So I'm not going to cast Spirit Plague. Look at my ward. It's increasing, like nice. I went from 1k to 1.3. Okay, I'm gonna wait. Now I'm gonna cast Spirit Plague after casting Chthonic Fissure. And look at my ward now. Insane. Like it's going from 1k to 2.5k. So Spirit Plague is our main source of ward generation because of this node. But, quick disclaimer, this is nerfed. Next patch. Right now it's 12 ward gain on hit, but next patch is going to be 36 ward gain on hit, but you can only proc it 10 times per 2 seconds. So this is 180 ward per second basically. So that's, I mean, quite a lot. Maybe it's even maybe more reliable, I would say, for the early levels. And we also got a nerf in Chthonic Fissure. It's releasing the spirit way less frequently, like 20% less frequently, and this node, I believe, got nerfed. So we have way less frequency of Chaos Bolt and Torments I mean spirits. So we get less hit to proc this, so yeah. I mean, in a sense, it's kind of balanced. Maybe we're gonna have as much water. We'll see. I don't really know. And that's pretty much it until level 50. And after level 50, we spec into Infernal Shade, which is gonna help us a ton on single target. So yeah, it's a damage over time ability that lasts 5 seconds, and it gets consumed. All of the damage gets instantly applied thanks to this node in Chthonic Fissure. So Infernal Shade deals its remaining damage when Spirit Torment an enemy afflicted by Infernal Shade. Yeah. So this is pretty crazy. And it'll also increase your Spirit frequency, by the way. Pretty crazy node after level 50. Like, this is gonna skyrocket our single target damage. So pretty important. One thing that I didn't mention is you want to use your Chthonic Fissure on the target if you do single target damage, because in Chthonic Fissure we have this node that gives us an extra curse that only applies on the fissure hit, not the projectiles that comes from the fissure. Okay, for the skill tree progression, pretty simple. First skill that you spec at level 4 is Reblood. You go for 4 points here, and then you go into cast speed to increase the amount of stacks that you're gonna get. At level 8, you spec into Wandering Spirits, and we want to rush this node to be able to poison and increase the clear. And after that, you increase the frequency. At level 20, we're gonna respec both Wandering Spirit and Reblood for the skills that you have right at the top of the screen. So Chthonic Fissure, Spirit Plague, and you spec into Chaos Bolt. Chthonic Fissure, what you do is first you reach these nodes. So you convert some of the spirits released by the Chthonic Fissure into Chaos Bolt. This makes the build automatic because you're going to proc basically Chaos Bolt from Chthonic Fissure, and your Chaos Bolt is going to in turn proc Reblood and Bone Curse. After that, we want to max the mana related nodes, so it costs less mana. Then we want to go for the secondary Fissure. I'm not gonna lie, before this node, it kind of feels weak, the Chthonic Fissure. But after that, you start feeling really powerful, because this double the procs of Torment, of Spirit, sorry, and of Chaos Bolts. After that, we go down, so 1 point in Necrotic Rest, 2 points in Fire Shred stacks, and then 1 point in there to consume the Infernal Shade for level 50. After that, we go on the right side for the Acid Skin Curse. We have an extra curse. It helps us for damage and defense, and also recovery, by the way. And finally, we go at the top, here, sorry, with the last point into Spirit Frequency. Then we have Spirit Plague. So Spirit Plague, we rush the ward gain on hit node. Then the bleed chance on a hit. So whenever an enemy is hit, it gives the enemy 1.5 stack of bleed in average. So every single hit on the enemy. Then we scale the physical penetration, and finally the duration. With Chaos Bolt, what we're gonna rush first is the Devour the Damned node. So we go from the bottom. Here we go to Bone Curse, then this one. This is really cool, by the way. It refreshes the duration of the curse on hit. So like your Spirit Plague, your Bone Curse, like all of those are gonna get refreshed on hit. And you also gain health per curse. So that's why I'm saying the amount of curse also scales your recovery. Here you have also mana recovery against enemy cursed. This makes it so that Chaos Bolt actually regenerate mana. Then we have Seed of Chaos for extra clear. Before Seed of Chaos, by the way, you rush Devour the Damned. You put 2 points into Exacted Libation to prog Reblood, and then you go into Seed of Chaos. My bad. And then you go into the Burn to increase the duration of your Chthonic Fissure. This makes them last longer, so it's a bit nicer. You don't have to spend as much mana. Then you go into Pandemonium. So the hits are more reliable, because when you cast Chaos Bolt, the hits are kind of random. Like I targeted here, and there's a projectile that got where I'm standing right now. So it's kind of weird, you know, like so random. So you want to have like higher area, and then you go into Ignite. At level 35, we spec into Reblood. Reblood, you rush the Ward Generation node. So this one that convert the health generation into Ward, and then this one with this. So you put 4 points here, then 1 point here, then you max this one. This is gonna increase the Ward Generation, and the final points you want to put them into Blood Splatter and then the Blood Splatter area. So if I show you, the Blood Splatter area is the circle around the target. You see this necrotic looking circle around the target. This is like an AoE on top of Rip Blood, but it doesn't hit the initial target because I only have a 100% chance. If I had more than a 100% chance, I could hit even the same target twice. But it's gonna hit all the targets around. And we proc Rip Blood automatically, so you don't even have to bother about casting it yourself. It's just extra clear, extra sources of hit and stuff, so pretty cool. And finally, at level 50, our single target, Infernal Shade. It costs a lot of mana. It cannot recover mana because it's not Chaos Bolt, right? Chaos Bolt, you can be at, you can actually generate mana with Chaos Bolt. This doesn't generate mana. So we go for the 5 points into Ignition first to increase the mana efficiency, but also the cast speed. So maybe per second, if you spam Infernal Shade, it's the same mana cost, but at least you deal more damage, I guess. Then you put 2 points into Cackling Flames, 4 points into Heart of Fire. This is where, by the way, this skill is going to start ramping a lot of its damage. You're going to see it deals insane amount of single target. Then you max Cackling Flames after maxing Heart of Fire. Then you go to Fanning the Flames with 4 points, and finally 1 point into Wildfires. Okay, now for passives. Pretty straightforward. You don't have to respec any node. We're gonna play spells all the way. I don't think you could like min-max too much. You could like get more damage, obviously. But yeah, pretty straightforward. You put 6 points into Blood Aura for damage. 8 points into Forbidden Knowledge for the int and the Necrotic Res. It's gonna come very handy into Chapter 4. It's the part of the campaign where you go into a ship to fight Captain Harton, and you have a lot of Necrotic mobs, so you're gonna be nearly capped on Necrotic Res with that. And 1 point into Mania of Mortality, and 5 points into Unnatural Preservation. This gives us Water Retention, which is way harder to come by compared to before. Because before, Intelligence was giving us 4% water retention per intelligence. Now it's only 2. And also, it's very nice that it gives us 20% necrotic res. So with those two nodes, we're at 60% necrotic res and 20% poison res already. Pretty nice. Poison res also, by the way, chapter 5. So after the chapter 4 where we have Captain Harton and the ship, it's the desert area. We have mobs that poison you, very long-lasting poison. So it's pretty handy to have a bit of poison res. Okay, next, we're gonna have the Warlock passive tree. So you have first few points into Soul Stealer to get the mana regen. Not the increased mana regen, but the 5 points bonus. This is gonna help us sustain mana on our build. Then we are gonna go with 5 points into Chaos Flames. Then 5 points into Word of Malevolence. Really good for survivability. Then we are gonna put 6 points into Spirit Leech. By this point, you can drop the Avarice Gloves. So those, you're gonna have them at around level 10. So equip them at, yeah, when you get them, and then up until you have this note right here. This is gonna be enough for a Leech, and most of our defense are gonna be Ward anyway, so yeah, that's fine. After that, we want to put 1 point in here to unlock Dark Protections. Dark Protections, put 5 points in there. The ward per second is really nice, but also less damage taken per curses, so really, really good. Then we want to put 1 point into Wither. Actually, you would put the point as soon as you can, and then put the remaining points into Dark Protection to have the 5 point bonus. It's a tiny bit of min-max. Then we put 2 points into Infinite Lash, 1 point into Encroaching Darkness, so an extra curse. 3 points into Infinite Lash, so you get the Ignite Overload. Then we want to put 5 points into the Ashen One to get Witchfire. Witchfire is really, really good for damage as soon as we get it, but you're gonna see with this node right here, it's gonna scale to a lot of damage. So we need 1 point into Chain of Ruin for the Damned chance, because this is gonna scale our Witchfire damage with Damned and Ignite chance. So put 5 points in there. You put 5 points into Fleeting Crone, because we have haste on kill, on hitting a boss or a rare, and also a lot of haste effects. So basically, 25% of the time you kill a mob, or 25% of the time you hit, basically all the time that you hit the boss or a rare, you get 45% increased movement speed. Then you go back to Chains of Ruin, you put your 4 points, so you have 5 points in it. Then you put 3 points into Chaos Flames to max it out, 1 point into Spiteful Decay, and 5 points into Cauldron of Blood. And there you go. You can also have like different points. For example, Cauldron of Blood, the idea is to go for Crimson Favors after that. You cast automatically Rip Blood. Then you can also max Dark Protection for a bit of ward per second, and you also have like other stuff like Vessel of Chaos for more damage over time. Another thing that I want to mention linked to the passive tree is with Chaos Bolt, you can proc Harvest with Dexterity. But the thing is, we did not get any source of Dexterity through the passive tree. You can only get on Gear your Dexterity, and it's very rare to get it on Acolyte. So I don't spec into it, but what you would do is actually respec your Rib Blood or Harvest. Pick this node, and in Harvest, you want to go for this, and this is going to make your Spirit Plague be cast automatically, so you don't, with this setup, even have to bother about casting Spirit Plague yourself, but it requires a lot of dexterity from your gear, which is the reason why I'm not doing it for this leveling guide, but just as a heads up, you can do it if you want to. But yeah, replace Rib Blood if that's the case. Do not replace Infernal Shade. Infernal Shade is most of our single target damage in the end game. Now that we talked about skills, gameplay, passives, I want to talk about gear and affixes. So in terms of weapons, this is going to be pretty simple. We always want to wear a wand and a catalyst. The reason why is we're going to get early on a lot of our flat damage with Rib Blood, like we talked about with this node. So we don't really care about flat damage, but you can still wear staves early. I'm going to be real, they still scale the affixes higher than just a one-handed weapon. But the advantage of the Catalyst is that it gives you intelligence, and intelligence is free increased damage. So even if you don't have like a good wand and a good Catalyst, you're still going to have a bit of increased damage, a bit of flat damage. Just put increased spell damage early on, increase necrotic, increase damage over time you can. But focus mostly on increased spell damage and increased damage over time. Later on, we want a wand and a catalyst for a very specific reason. So after level 20, is because every wand has a minus spell mana cost. A minus spell mana cost is necessary for the build to function. You cannot use a staff that doesn't have minus spell mana cost after level 20, otherwise you will always be out of mana, no matter what. So it's simple to go with wand, and also the catalyst gives us intelligence, which we need to proc Rib Blood in the Chaos Bolt tree. We basically have 1% chance to proc Rib Blood per intelligence. So right now I have 26 intelligence, meaning I have a 26% chance on Chaos Bolt hit to proc Rib Blood. So there you go. Also, you have very good defensive catalysts like this one, Opulent Focus. It gives us ward per second, ward retention. You can get ward per second as a suffix on catalyst, which is insane for the build. Talking about ward, we have a lot of sources of ward on the build. We have Spirit Plague, and we also have Rib Blood. But we want to have it on gear as well to make us literally unkillable. So we have the helmet, the body armor, and the catalyst that gives us ward per second as a suffix. And we have a new affix that is even more powerful on amulet and rings, which is ward per second and ward decay threshold. In my opinion, it is the strongest affix in the game for leveling straight up on any single build, even if you don't play a ward build. At tier 5, I would say it's the equivalent of having a suffix that gives you 300 health. So yeah, that's how insane it is. So get those at T5 as soon as you can. Same for ward per second on body armor and catalyst. Then we have, in terms of resistances, Spider Silk Sash, Bone Amulet, and your boots. So you have Solarm Greaves at higher levels, and a bit lower you have Ereborian boots as well. And if you look at my reses, right now I don't have a single line of res on my gear except the implicit. So as you can see, it's pretty easy to cap your res on this gear, on this build, sorry. You have a lot of poison, cap necrotic, a lot of fire, and yeah, just have to invest into void, invest into physical, lightning, cold, and poison a bit. Now, I'm going to talk also about mana. Very, very, very important mana. And mana regen. So, on my gear right now, I'm at level 70, so I put like a random piece of gear that would make sense for this build, just to showcase you some of the affix and the implicit. You have the Coven Hat and the Coven Robes that gives you cast speed, mana regen. So those two are really, really good. You have Arcane Bracer. So after you unlock the point, where is it? Spirit Leech, you can replace your Avarice with gloves that gives you increased mana regen and increased mana. Arcane Bracer are the best one, but you get them pretty late, right? Level 54. And we also have Sapphire Rings at level 40 with mana and mana regen, which makes us 236 mana and 16 mana regen at level 70. And I don't even have, I believe, a single mana regen on my gear. Yeah, this is without any affix. This is just the item base. So pretty easy to get there. Focus really on the item base and one affix, and if possible, two. But I would highly recommend having one affix to tier 5 than having multiple affix at tier 2 or 3. We want to have cleanse on our belt to cleanse the elements whenever we use a potion. I used this relic that gives fire damage, but this is an endgame relic. We need to be level 63. Before you can use a different relic. Let me check the name again. I don't remember. So it's Cursed Bones. You get it pretty early, this one. It gives us up to 45 fire res and 63 curse damage. So pretty good. And even before that, when you spawn, you can get Defiled Bones that gives us 90% increased spell damage. So super good early on. Now, let's talk about uniques. So first of all, the Acolyte Relic with as well item that gives us +1 to all Acolyte skills. Pretty straightforward. Good no matter which level you're at. Then we have Soulfire, another relic that gives us more spell damage to ignite an enemy. We are gonna ignite them no matter what. Like straight up ignite chance to ignite on hit with fire skills and necrotic skills. So all of our skills are either fire or necrotic. This gives us a lot of ignite chance. Increase fire damage when you have killed an enemy recently. Nice. And yeah, that's a pretty nice item for the build. Then we have Chronicle of the Damned. This is only up to level 20 that it's useful. It's gonna give us 500 ward because of the third line. We gain between 6 and 11 ward each second per active Wandering Spirit. And we release a lot of Wandering Spirits. In total, we're gonna release 20, but we won't have 20 at the same time. But this is like insane amount of ward early on. Okay, next, boots. Those are the item types I recommend using your Rune of Ascendance on. It is the most likely that you're gonna get a good unique for your Rune of Ascendance. Even if you don't hit those two uniques that are super impactful for the build, you have other boots that are going to increase your movement speed and stuff. So Advent of the Erased, the reason why this is insane, not only it's a With His Will item, so you can get stats on top of it, it's the last line that is absolutely crazy for the build. Basically, you gain ward whenever you gain haste or refresh the duration of haste with a 1 second cooldown. So you can read it as 30 to 60 ward per second on this build. Why? It's because of this node. We have a 25% chance to get haste on kill and 25% chance to get haste when hitting a boss or rare. On bosses and while clearing, you always refresh the duration of haste all the time. Insane boots defensively. Then you have Blood of the Exile. Blood of the Exile not only has crazy movement speed, but it also increases all bleed damage. It has 2 multiplier. The first one is bleed duration, so up to 67% more bleed damage on bosses, and for moving target, between 30 to 40% more physical element damage, so bleed damage basically. Then you have Strength. It's going to increase our armor. Dexterity. So remember what I said about Dexterity with proccing Harvest and Chaos Bolt. So you have chances of proccing Harvest with this node. So if you have Blood of the Exile, you can go and spec into that node in Chaos Bolt, and do not, respec Reblood for Harvest, and in Harvest go for this node. So this makes the build way more smooth. You don't even have at that point to cast yourself Spirit Plague. You just pop your Tonic Fissure and you cast your Chaos Bolt, and that's it. And you have Intelligence, really good. Calamity, really good for the build. Not only does it have a lot of increased damage, it also has chance to ignite with fire skills, which we have a lot, and increased cast speed for fire spells. So we cast fire spells, so yeah. Pretty insane. It also have max mana on the implicit. Final one, Font of the Erased. The only reason I have this unique here is for the second line. % of mana spent gain as ward. We want to have 30% of our mana spent as gain as ward, and it's going to give us a lot of ward as well. The third line, you don't care about it. It's very marginal. The base is really good. It gives us elemental res. So, and you also have like increased health, increased mana. There you have the Acolyte leveling build. Super fun build. Pretty smooth. Super tanky. Proc a bunch of spells. you will be able to find the actual leveling guide that I've written in the pinned comment. I'm also going to release a full run up until Abomination, I meant. It's not the same, right? Just to have an idea of how it plays and if it's a build for you or not. And yeah, you will be able to find me on release on Twitch. Maybe I'll be streaming a bit before release, we'll see. I'm just signing a new work next week. So the timing is not super insane for me, but I'll be able to at least release all the videos that I want to release. And yeah, feel free also to tell me in the comment section if you have any question. Good luck on the release, have a nice leveling, and bye.